Welcome to my Appalachian home, where the mountains speak through the stories, music, and memories passed through generations. I'm Rick Dollar, and each episode takes you deep into the heart of Appalachia, from front porch conversations, traditions, and voices that make this region unlike anywhere else in America. So pull up a chair, settle in, and come on home to Appalachia. Hey folks, I recently got to sit down with Joel Beverly, author of The Absence of Belief, a memoir and manifesto from the heart of Appalachia. It's an interesting story about life, love, and the human spirit. And this is how that went. My guest today is Mr. Joel Beverly. Now, you are a world-acclaimed author now. You can add that.
Man, just a beautiful day here in Kentucky. Yeah. Geez. I'm not sure what it's like in Savannah right now, but it's probably 65 degrees here and it's sunny. Getting some hay cut right in front of me. So that's pretty exciting. The field's going to be real pretty here in just a bit. Yeah. I might have a little fire this afternoon. So yeah, life is good.
Man, it's about 89 degrees here. So I don't think we have to worry about fires or anything. But let's talk about this book, man. What made you write this book? What motivated you to get into this part of your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. Nothing really motivated me. You know, this is my second book. And I was in 2022, I was taking a trip that I knew it was going to be about a 3-month trip. We were going from Eastern Kentucky to Charleston, West Virginia, to New York City, and then to Europe, and then into Egypt. And I knew it was going to be about 3 months. So, and I wasn't really going with any direction, right? I was just, as things came up on the trip, that's just kind of the direction the book went. So that's kind of how it went. You know, I wasn't really shooting for anything, but it just kind of happened. And by the end of it, you know, if you read it, and my publishers did, and and you were like, what do you title this? Because it's kind of quite a complex little beast. And they suggested the title that it is, which you said, right? Which is, it's a lot. It's a memoir. It's a manifesto. It's about Appalachia, and it's about belief. So yeah.
Hey, one good thing I do want to throw out there before we get started. This thing was released on Cinco de Mayo, of course, the May the 5th, and it's already an Amazon bestseller.
Yeah. And if you didn't have a margarita on Cinco de Mayo to celebrate the release, you still have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Go get you a book and go to your local Mexican restaurant, get you a margarita, and celebrate with us.
Or just fire up a cigar into the local tree, you know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I got all kinds of vices. But hey, I was thoroughly impressed with Joel Beverly, the person, when we had our little initial conversation on the phone. I don't always do that, but I think a lot of times it puts me in touch with the person that I'm going to be talking to. Just the flat out saying, hey, who is Joel Beverly? You know? So that's what I want to ask you again and let you tell everybody else.
Yeah, that's another great question, right? Who I was not long ago is very different than who I am now in some way. Yeah. You know, in a nutshell, we are who we believe we are, right?
What I was thinking.
Yeah. But, you know, so in my life, I've had a lot of visions of who Joel Beverly is. You know, for the first 18 years, I was kind of a poor hillbilly. You know, I was raised at the last house on the holler. I was poor. You know, we had to go to the well to get water. There was no water. There was no sewer, right? So in January, if you had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, you were going outside, you know. So and we were hungry at times. So that was kind of the reality that I experienced for the first 18 years or so. So that's kind of who I was, right? That was my experience, and that's what I believed, right? And then the next 20 years, it shifted in some way. I was one of the first in our family to go to college. My sister was the first one in our immediate family, but I bet I've never counted, but I bet I have over 100 cousins, and very few of us went to college. We were, again, we're just from the holler, and that's kind of the reality that we existed in. But through some luck, I would say, meeting some teachers and some teachers finding me in some way, and it shifted my reality a bit, and it made me believe it was something else, right? That maybe I was smart enough to go to college. Um, so I went to college and I got a bachelor's degree in wildlife management and a master's degree in biology, uh, and then not knowing, not really wanting to go back to Eastern Kentucky, right? Because that's where I believed I was a poor hillbilly, But I the universe took me back there, right? I got a job right out of graduate school in Eastern Kentucky, and I went back, and I saw it in a different light then, So it was because I was making a little money, and it was quite a different experience for me at that point. Um, and quickly, when I was 28, I had been doing my work for 3 years at that point, and I realized that I could do it just as good, if not better, than the company I was working for.
Yeah.
So I started my own company when I was 28. It's called Apogee, and from there it was kind of a wild ride, right? This poor hillbilly was all of a sudden making some money, and that was a big shift. And with that money, 3 4 years into that, me and my partner, my wife at the time, my mom was just getting out of prison at the time, and she had raised us as a bartender. So I bought a downtown building there in the little town I lived in, and I said, let's open up a coffee shop, and we'll hire my mom, and she can kind of run the place and kind of be the barista bartender for the place. So, and this was a big thing, right, in our little town of 2,000 people. Because we really made it nice. We made it to where you could get an espresso, and you could get really nice food. You could get uh, hummus, for instance, right? Homemade hummus we had. So people were like really happy about this place, and we brought in amazing musicians. Jason Isabel uh, has played there many times. It's a 100 seat space, and Jason Isbell played there many times. Sturgill Simpson played there many times. So it was quite a special little thing, and in that time, I got to know everybody in the town, right? The lawyers, the judges, the mayors. They all became my buddies. So in that period, I started believing I was somebody different, right? At that point, I was a business guy, and I owned a bar in this little town, and in some ways, I was the toast of the town, right?
There's a place tucked away in the mountains where time slows down just enough for you to catch your breath. And that place is Marion, Virginia. Known as America's coolest hometown, Marion blends rich Appalachian heritage with a fresh, vibrant energy that you can feel the moment you arrive. Stroll historic Main Street. Take in a live show at the beautifully restored Lincoln Theater, or explore great outdoors along the scenic Hungry Mother Park, where the views are so unforgettable. Whether you're chasing live music, small town charm, or a weekend escape that feels like home, Marion delivers it all with a handshake and a smile. So pack up, head for the hills, and discover why folks don't just visit Marion, they come back again and again. Plan your trip today and experience Marion, Virginia, where the mountains meet the music.
And now back to more fun.
So that was the next 20 years up to like my late 30s. And by the end of my 30s of running this environmental business, and also having a bar where I did my best to act like a rock star, where we partied most nights. Uh, by the end of that, I was toast. And and that's when my world, and I feel like the universe had probably was knocking on my door a long time before this, but I was probably just too drunk to hear the knocking. But my my dad passed away. My mom passed away 4 months later. Um, I got skin cancer. Me and my wife separated. So all of this stuff happened right together. So it was a big shift for me. And at that point, a friend of mine kind of saw me and was like, "Wow, you're a mess." And she gave me a book that kind of shifted my reality again about who I believed I was. And that book was called Full Catastrophe Living. And it's kind of a medical setting meditation technique to lower stress. So I read the book. I was visiting her in New York City, and I read the book in like 3 days, and I was just like, "Well, hell, I wish somebody had told me this, 30 years ago, because I totally saw the world in a different way. And that was probably 13 years ago. So for the last 13 years, I've been diving into that space of meditation and getting to know who I truly am, right? Which is beyond what I truly am now, is beyond description, right? I'm infinite potentiality. I can do whatever I want to do. I don't believe anything, right? I don't believe anything that somebody tells me about me. In the past, I would have said I'm a biologist, right? I'm this, I'm that. But now I'm just kind of here, experiencing the world around me. So
I think that's some good advice. I think a lot of people, we do take what people say about us and build this person that we think that we are. And I would have been in the same position that you were in, and probably was at some point in my life. But I kind of decided to hit the reset button and say, okay, wait a minute. This is me. Okay. This is what makes me happy. This is what I like to do. I like to talk to interesting people. I like to just have conversations with people sometimes. And
mm,
a lot of times you don't run into that every day, and you don't see yourself as being somebody that's good at something like that.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. It's interesting. It's like it's on the individual level, right? That we are taught to believe who we are, but also in a regional or even a global way, right? So thinking about the regional, when I was a kid, I heard often about the war on poverty, and the war on poverty in eastern Kentucky and Appalachia was probably a failure, but not because it didn't make us rich.
Mm-hmm.
It was a failure because it made us believe we're poor,
Exactly.
right? Because if you hear that there's a war on poverty in your neighborhood, that probably means you're poor, and you start believing that you're poor. And a lot of the systemic issues that we have in eastern Kentucky and Appalachia is because of the things that we believe. And pe- people out there, the elites on the coasts, the ones with the TV programs and the things, the newsmakers,
Mm-hmm.
they get to paint uh, other people in the ways that feels beneficial in the moment, right? That seems newsworthy, and newsworthy being something that's going to get clicks, right, or uh, people's eyes to fall on it. So a lot of things about Appalachia and Eastern Kentucky have been painted in such a way as to create drama, and to uh, through that process, many of us who grew up in there, how could you not believe that, right? If you're always seeing it in the news,
Exactly.
if you're hearing about the war on poverty, how do you not believe these things? And as you become what you believe, right? It's pretty simple.
I think that a lot of people need to understand um, that we have to make our own minds up in this world. Um, we are spoon fed a lot of stuff in the media, and just like you were talking about, a lot of people control what we think a lot of times, just because it's there in front of us at the time. But I think sometimes we have to go through these terrible things or these transformations or however you want to say it, um, in order to look back at ourselves and say, wow, I was never that person.
Mm.
And I don't think that it's the way that you feel makes you the person that you are, but I think you have to realize who you are.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. It's all an experience, right? Everything that you've experienced has been a training for you, right, Rick? And it's like you've screwed up a lot, I'm sure, yeah, just like I have. But in my opinion, you don't regret any of that
Mm-mm.
because that's what's created you now, right? Here on this show, here on these with these people that you're introducing to the world, the power that you have now is because of all those experiences you had.
Sure.
And it goes, so it goes to the deepest layer of who we are. Yeah, we're all trained. Quickly we get on a train, right? I was talking to a buddy the other day that when he turned 18, the conversation was politics, and he said when he was 18, that his daddy took him and his two brothers down to the registration place, and he said, "You're registering as Republicans," and at that point, you're on that train, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
and how can you argue with that, right? It's like it's so I think the biggest thing is just to break free of everything we've been taught in many ways to where you get down to just who you are. What is your essence, Rick, right? What is your essence? And if you sit with that for just a little while quietly, your essence of who you are will come up beyond what society has told you that you are.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Rick Dollar Show podcast.
Down in Hopeless Holler, they're putting on a show. Gonna be a big time and everybody go. Picking and a singing all your favorite songs. Down in Hopeless Holler, won't you come along? Down in Hopeless Holler, won't you come along? Hopeless Holler. Hopeless Holler Trading Company, where one style fits all.
I mean, when I was, you know, I walked into a radio station one time by sheer accident. And when I walked into that radio station, I did an interview with someone sitting across from me. And I thought, this is really cool. I feel at home here. I like this. I like being able to share how I feel and things of this nature. And so on and on and on, 15 years later, I was like, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I mean, I'm just burnt out. I've done so much in this business already. And then I got away from it and I thought, how can I do this on my terms? And at that time, I had never heard of a podcast or anything like that. And I think that was the very beginning of meeting one of my best friends. Tony called me up one day and he said, "Hey, you've had this health scare. So what are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Nothing." He said, "But dude, you did so many things. Why are you stopping now?" And Tony's still my best friend when I need to be grounded or
Mm.
realize something that maybe I'm not seeing. Um, I can call him up,
Yeah.
send him a text message. We can get into a conversation that may last an hour, and by the time I get away from that conversation, I've completely changed
Yeah.
my thought process.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and so it's sometimes it's not just the situations that you get in, it can be people like you're talking about with your education and some things that you wanted to do with your life, but you never had the opportunity, just the people you meet. So
That's that's it. Yeah, yeah. It's your story of your friend there. I think that's quite beautiful. It's that, and that person is a mirror for you, right? That you reflect and you can learn about yourself
mhm.
through that trusting person. Um, because this reality is quite confusing, right? And if you think about it, it's like, why the hell are we here, right? Experiencing this.
That's right.
Uh, and so your whole life is just an experiment of you trying to figure out what the hell is happening. And to have a trusted friend who can be that mirror for you,
Yeah.
oh, it's huge. It's if you don't have that person, I've been a part of men's groups before, and
Mhm.
and things like that uh, can reflect back to you what you're really doing, right? Because it's easy to get off track and it's easy to be confused. So
That is true. And I mean, sometimes you just have to let things happen to find out who you are, good or bad or ugly. And, sometimes those lessons are a little something that you can think back on every once in a while and say, wow, I had to go through all of that just to get to here. And that,
yeah,
that
yeah,
could have been a lot shorter sometimes.
yeah, yeah. But it's like a movie, right? Our lives are like movies, and it can't be all peaches and rainbows, right? It's like because you get very bored of the movie, right? So in some ways we need those low points, those uh those anchovies maybe. Something that
Valleys, yeah, you got to go through all that stuff, man.
yes, and that's kind of the cool thing. And when you reach this spot, you're like, wow, yeah, cool. It's the hero's journey, right? Is exactly what it is. I
Yeah,
firmly believe we're each living the hero's journey, and we'll get there, but each of us in our own time.
exactly. And I think more people that realize things like this earlier in their lives, sometimes that lesson doesn't stick. I don't think the way that it is when, you know, I'll just say, guys our age, we kind of
Youngins.
had to kind of go through these things, try to understand, hey, what do I want? What makes me happy? It's not maybe what you were going through before. And I'm sure it's not, because we all have to deal with different things in life. And it's all
Yeah,
in how you deal with them, I guess, more.
yeah.
Check out The Rick Dollar Show on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at The Rick Dollar Show. To see more great content, check out The Rick Dollar Show on YouTube. The Rick Dollar Show.
Hey, if you love real music played by real musicians, it's time you experience a night at Randy Wood's Old Time Pickin' Parlor in Bloomingdale, Georgia. This legendary listening room is where world-class pickers, bluegrass greats, Americana artists, singer-songwriters, and roots musicians take the stage to play the music the way it was meant to be heard, up close, personal, and full of soul. No big arena distractions here, just great sound, great people, and unforgettable live performances in one of the most respected acoustic venues anywhere. Whether it's blazing banjo, sweet harmonies, or a hot fiddle tune that gets your heart going, you'll find it on stage at Randy Wood's. Make plans now to catch an upcoming show. Bring some friends and be part of the music tradition that keeps on living. Randy Wood's Old Time Pickin' Parlor, Bloomingdale, Georgia, where the music never gets old. Check upcoming performances and ticket info online, and we'll see you at the Pickin' Parlor.
Well, in this society, right, that we're in, we at age 18, you're supposed to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. You know,
I'm
how
laughing.
crazy how crazy is that?
Yeah. it's definitely not what you're going to do. Um, you know, I have an 18-year-old grandson right now, and this dude is so smart. He's already thinking what we've been discussing.
Wow.
He's already coming up with what he thinks is correct. And he's making that decision. That's the important part.
It's incredible. And this is our, it's our potential as a society, right? That every 18-year-old, by the time that they get there, they know who they are, right? They don't believe anything. They're not letting society place them in a box. They're totally free, and in that freedom, they will know, right? They will feel into what they're meant to do, right? Many doctors are not supposed to be doctors. You know, I mean, you sit with them and you see their bedside manners, and you quickly realize that many of them shouldn't be this, but society's trained them that this is a valuable thing, right? And it makes a lot of money. But if we made a society to where if everybody had this knowledge when they were 18, man, the world would just be a quite a different place.
Maybe they should be professional golfers.
Sign me up.
There, dude. Well, what made you realize all this? I understand your journey that you've been telling me about, but what gets you up every morning?
And that's what it is for me. You know, it's just I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, I kind of feel myself and I'm like, wow, I'm here again. You know, and it's just and I think very little, and just kind of reality just kind of emerges and forms around me. You know, it's just like almost like the book, right? I wasn't trying to point it in any direction. It just kind of formed over 90 days. You know, that's kind of life for me. I'm just interested, and so I just got a tick on me, right? So my reality is just forming around me there. It's so I tried to not push it too far in any one direction, right? I just kind of let it. I just try to show up in an open hearted way, and then I just kind of let things just happen from there, right? That's where I'm at today. It's just to be very easy with myself.
Yeah, you're just living life, and
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes that's the easiest way to exist. I think a lot of times is a lot of people don't take those advantages that we've given as far as um, you know things that have happened to us or places we've been or people we've met. They just kind of willy nilly kind of just go along with life, but sometimes I think that's really called for. You know.
Well, I think most people are living a story, right? The story that they are a doctor, the story they are a bat biologist, the story that they are whatever, right? There's so many stories that society either gave us or we achieved in some way, right? And and we believe those stories. And that's why most of us are so kind of shattered, right? We're in pieces because, in one place you're this, you're a professional. One place you're a husband. Over here you're this, and it kind of just separates us from the true essence of who we are, which is beyond all of that, And when and if you can move beyond it, it takes a little work, but if you can move beyond that, you kind of become nothing, right? You're not anything, and there you just really start to notice things around you, right? You're just happy to be here experiencing things. And it's quite a beautiful space to hang out.
I totally understand this. Hey, if I mean, I know we can get the book on Amazon, but I'm seeing that you're got quite a bit of distribution at Barnes and Noble and places like that. Um, how does that work with how you feel about what you've done with this book?
Oh, it doesn't. Again, I don't even think about that. I until you just ask the question. Otherwise, I'm like, today was like I had a meeting for 2 hours this morning, and then I went out and dug some weeds up with Fern, my partner. So is and then I'm like, oh, I got Rick here in just 30 minutes. So it's just kind of unfolding in that way. It's amazing, that anybody can get the book anywhere they want it, right? It's like I have a dear friend in Tampa. He just got it at his local bookstore down there. So you can get it from any little bookstore in the world. So that's quite amazing, right? It's that in this day and age we have access to things like that. And for me, it's cool, in this minute, in this moment, it doesn't matter to me, right? The die have been cast, right? The book is out there. Uh, I'm going to naturally meet people like you, and then it'll naturally do what it wants to do, and I'm just going to enjoy the ride.
And that's the best way to look at it right there. Dude, I don't know what else I could say to make that better. No doubt. Well, the book is called In the Absence of Belief, a memoir and slash manifesto from the heart of Appalachia. And I think it's more from the heart of Joel Beverly. Joel, thanks for visiting with us today. I'm gonna tell everybody, hey, at least give this book a shot. You gotta give this book a shot, because if it can change how we feel about ourselves in the future, can't be half bad, man.
Rick, thank you, man. Yeah, thank you for your kind words. Thanks for giving me the shot to be on here with you. I love your energy and I appreciate it.
And that's going to do it for this edition of My Appalachian Home. Thanks for spending a little time with us here in the mountains, where the stories run deep and the music carries on the wind and the traditions still matter. I'm Rick Dollar, reminding you that no matter where life takes you, there'll always be a road that leads you back home to Appalachia. Until next time, take care of one another and keep the mountain spirit alive.